Right, let's do it again. Another load of great tennis stuff coming right up. Let's begin with a slightly different take on why it's so important to focus on one point at a time. This one especially good for when you're playing stronger players.
Ah, Nick, fancy a bet?
Oh, on the big match?
Yeah, the big match.
I'm playing in it.
What? You?
Yeah.
Against the big guy?
I'm playing the big man today.
Don't make me know. There's no chance.
What are my odds then? What are my odds for the match?
50 to 1.
50 to 1? 50 to 1? I mean, he's a good player, but come on.
He's a lot better than you are, mate. And even if he'd been out all night last night and had a dodgy kebab, he'll still trash you.
What are my odds to win a set then?
33 to 1.
33. What are my odds to win the first point of the match?
Serving or returning?
Give me both. Both.
Well, if you're returning, it's got to be a 3 to 1 shot. If you're serving, it's got to be evens.
Even money, 50-50, eh? Quite like that actually. 50-50 for that 1 point on serve. Why think about anything more than the next point? No point thinking about the whole match when you can focus 1 point at a time.
You'll do something there, mate.
Yeah, I've got this one in the bag. Thanks for that.
Place a punt then, or?
Nah, mate, betting's a mug's game. And it's illegal to bet on your own matches. For goodness sake. Mate, can I get another one?
Every time. What an idiot.
Yeah, complete jerk.
Rookie.
Novice.
Proper moron.
Completer utter tool.
Yep.
He'll probably double fault now.
Fed up with watching the kids miss their first serve and then not have a ball for the second? Well, introduce a rule where their opponent can claim the point when it happens. I did that for our weekend match play programme and the problem was completely gone within 2 weeks. You shouldn't ever specifically be working on your follow-throughs. They are a natural continuation of the swing based on what you did before and during contact, and their sole purpose is to decelerate the arm and racket safely. If you hit with a loose grip and a relaxed arm, then your follow-throughs will take care of themselves. The forehand windscreen wiper follow-through has evolved to become part of the modern game, as players try to hit their forehands with ever-increasing amounts of topspin. Check it out, and if you're not familiar with it, you'll soon see why it's called the windscreen wiper. As alluded to in the last segment, the first big mistake players make when trying to develop this shot is to copy that wiper follow-through, without understanding that it's what happens before and during contact that allows the wiper follow-through to happen naturally. Players are driving the racket through contact faster and with a steeper swing path. The two things I highlighted in video 13 as being crucial to make topspin. Attempting to hit this way is naturally producing the wiper follow-through. But what about video 4, when I talked about extension and hitting through 3 balls? Well, that's still the best tip I know to help players of all levels develop more power and depth on their shots. And of course, this shot is all about advanced topspin. And lack of extension is actually the second big mistake that players make when trying to develop their own modern wiper forehand. Even if you're focusing on the right things when trying to develop this shot, which is increased racket acceleration and a steeper swing path through contact, it's still very easy to collapse your arm across your chest into the follow-through, which will break up the efficient flow of energy from your body into the shot. When the pros hit the modern wiper, they seldom do it without good extension, signified by the upper arm extending out from the shoulder and a good gap between hand and chest before the swing completes. So for me, to make the best use of the Topspin Pro, you need to stand further back so that you can make early contact and get this good extension. It works just as well if you use a straight arm at contact like Federer and Nadal, or a bent arm at contact like Djokovic and Murray. Then it's all about working on that increased racket acceleration and steeper swing path through contact, but not the wiper finish. If you stay nice and loose and relaxed, the wiper finish will happen naturally. The last important thing to understand is that the wiper follow-through isn't driven by the wrist. It's driven by the rotation of the arm from the shoulder and a little extra rotation from the elbow. It's important to understand this when you're trying to develop this shot in your own game, otherwise you may end up putting unnecessary strain and stress on your wrist.
See how there's no independent movement of the wrist during the wiper follow-through.
As for developing the modern forehand swing with advanced topspin, then this product is excellent as long as it's used correctly. Alright, here's a simple way to improve your serve percentage. All you've got to do is make sure you keep your eyes looking at the ball until contact. It might sound obvious, but players of all levels are guilty of not doing it. Roger's serve is technically excellent, but he has to think about those eyes to make sure they happen. Let's see the difference between the summer and now. So, try it out. If looking at the ball until contact point on the serve feels different to what you normally do, then you've just found an easy way to make your serve more reliable. So I was thinking, we can't control time, right?
Right.
No human being can stop time, or even slow it down, or speed it up. It just keeps on going, and there's nothing we can do about it. We have no control over it. But no one gets angry or upset about that.
What's your point?
Well, human beings obviously all have the skill to be able to not get angry and upset about things they can't control. So why can't that be transferred to the tennis court? If tennis players chose to use the skill that they clearly already have, then they wouldn't have to get upset and annoyed about things like bad luck, how good or bad their opponent's playing, or tricky conditions, things like that.
That's a good point.
Just a thought. Coaches, want your student to hit earlier and with more energy? Well, tell them to imagine every time they hit the ball that the racket is having a fight with the ball, and it's their job to make sure the racket wins the fight. The outcome is decided by whichever had the most control at contact, so late hits and shanks will give victory to the ball, whereas clean early hits with racket acceleration at contact will mean the racket won the fight. Okay, Alice, really make that racket win fight with the ball, yeah? Racket win the fight with the ball every time, come on. Really make that racket win fight with the ball, okay? Racket win the fight with the ball. Go on. And this is especially good to have in mind for your second serve, because the last place you want the second serve to go is in the net and weak. So having this in your mind when you're hitting your second serves is overall going to get you hitting that second serve much more positively. To understand how a human being learns a new skill, think of the brain as a computer, which runs programs for everything you do. So you learnt to walk a long time ago. When you do it now, your brain simply runs a walking program, which allows you to walk without any mental effort or thought. It's the same for your tennis game. Your brain has programs for forehand, backhand, and everything you do on the court. And if you play without thought, your brain will simply run the existing programs, which is great if your technique is fantastic. Not so good if you're trying to make improvements to your game. For that, you need to delete the old program and replace it with a new one. That takes a lot of mental effort and determination, and only after thousands of repetitions will the new program become fully installed. If motivation to improve is low, the old program will keep coming back. Otherwise, the old program is most likely to show up in matches and pressure situations, which is why it's so important to take on board what Judy Murray and myself talked about in video 22 and make improvement your #1 goal when competing. That way, your overall development as a tennis player will happen much faster. Last word on efficient technique for this project. Now, there's one guy who arguably has overall the most efficient technique out there. He's a guy who's never had to retire during a professional match. He's never had a prolonged injury break. He's not missed a Grand Slam tournament this millennium, and at the age of 34, he continues to defy a lot of experts by maintaining a top 3 ranking. If you're serious about your tennis game, then surely you've got to be serious about educating yourself on efficient technique, what it is, and then working hard to developing it in your game.
This one for the coaches. Have you ever been fed up watching your player revert to old habits under the pressure of match play? All that hard work done in the lessons, when they were doing the new technique really well, out the window once the next tournament comes around. Well, chuck them in lesson prison, until they show a real desire to want to use a new technique all of the time. Their individual lessons are spent entirely practicing that one thing that they're not transferring into matches. Great for that all-important repetition, but more importantly, the lesson will be far more boring than usual, which will act as motivation for the player to want to work harder on improving.
Don't forget, I'm also writing articles for tennisplayer.net. John Yandel has put together an incredible site packed full of high-quality content from a host of world-class contributors. It really is the world's leading tennis magazine, so do check it out.
That's it for video 49. One more to go. I'll see you then.